morning, folkers. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at in the world. This is Snapzilla Gorilla, and welcome to the Definition of Anarchy channel. Today is Wednesday, May 27th, 2020. And what I want to talk about is the murder of George Floyd. All right, the murder of George Floyd. Many of you might know what this is about. So yesterday, a police officer, several police officers responded to a call accusing George Floyd of forgery, okay? And so when they showed up, according to them, now we don't have the body cam footage of this yet, but according to them, he was resisting arrest, all right? But finally they get him subdued, all right? They subdue George Floyd on the ground next to their vehicle, and one of the officers, a white officer, George Floyd is black, by the way, and the officer in question, the murderer, is a white man, okay? And what happened is they subdue him, they handcuff him, and this white officer, I don't know his name right now, decides to put his knee on George Floyd's neck. Now, George Floyd is pleading with the man, telling him that he's under distress, that he can't breathe, all this, that, the 5th, and the 20th, okay? But all of his calls go unheard or go unignored, right? They just completely ignore his pleas to allow him to breathe, to get his knee off his neck. The officer decided not to do it. The officer was complaining about him not being able to get him into the vehicle, whatever the case may be. Then you have this Asian officer standing guard, making sure that the people that are standing by don't save his life, essentially. So the guy, the police officer that's standing there is telling people, oh, get back on the sidewalk, don't come into the street, don't do this, don't do that. And he's just standing there, just allowing his partner to keep his knee on this guy's neck, to the point where he either passes out, right? So his knee's on his neck for 8 minutes, okay? So this pressure of this grown-ass man's knee on his neck, along with his weight, is there for 8 minutes. I want y'all to understand the significance of that, okay? Because I'm gonna talk about it later. But the people on this, the bystanders, are telling him, yo, check his pulse, because he passes out. Get up, get your knee off his neck. He calmed down. He got him handcuffed, and it just goes ignored, okay? Unheeded. And finally, the ambulance shows up, all right? Now, by this time, I believe he's dead. I think George Floyd is dead at this time. The way that his body is flopping around when they're moving him, and not to mention they moving him in a completely disrespectful manner. Like, the way that they're treating this man is completely uncalled for. So they move his body to the stretcher, and he's just flopping around. Like, there's no signs of breathing, none of that. All right, and yeah, this is what happened. Now, I want people to understand this. Forgery, okay? Forgery is not something that you would kill somebody for, okay? Like, it's not even something. It's barely a it's barely a crime that leaves a victim. The only reason that it does leave a victim is because you're giving this person money that's not real, and so they have no use for it. So you took an item from them, giving them this fake money, and so you lose. So yeah, so it's a crime, but it's a very minimum crime. All right, it listen, man. The response was unnecessary. Okay, so the cops show up. All right, the guy's resisting arrest. Okay, he resisted arrest in the beginning, if it's true. But at the point where you subdue the man, you do not need to continue to put that pressure on his neck, obstructing his airway, obstructing his blood flow. All right. So even if it wasn't an air choke, it was a blood choke. And if you choke somebody's blood off to their brain for too long, they get brain damage and eventually die. The longer you listen, I think it's 3 to 4 minutes without blood reaching the brain, that person is essentially brain dead. Okay, like if you drown, right, and you're unconscious, or you drown and you're drowned for so long before they revive you. Even if they revive you, you might not have all your faculties. All right. So they killed this man, murdered this man. Now, I'm gonna tell y'all, I don't give a shit about the context. I don't care about context before this happened. You know why? I don't care if George Floyd slapped the cop upside his head, which I don't think he did. You know, the people that were, the bystanders are saying that he wasn't resisting arrest. That's what they said. It doesn't matter if he was resisting arrest. Once you subdue the person and they have calmed down, which he did, you have ended the resistance of the arrest, and that goes out the window. You subdued the cat, you got him in handcuffs. At that point, you put their ass in the vehicle, or you get their knee. If you're worried about them doing something, once you get off of him, take your knee off his fucking neck and put it on his shoulder, or put it on his lower back or something, or put it on his shoulder. You do not need to keep your fucking knee on his neck. So I don't care about the context. That's what you hear people say, right? You know, Tim Pool and Tim Pool. We didn't know what happened before. It doesn't matter. The dude has his knee on his neck for 8 minutes. It doesn't matter how he got to that point, especially for a forgery. Even if he resisted arrest, he was subdued at that moment for 8 minutes. Your knee is on his neck for 8 minutes, my dude. That resistance arrest bullshit no longer applies here. No longer applies. All right? Your life isn't threatened, and you do not need to keep your knee there. So, people that sit up here and tell you, oh, well, we only saw the video from the point of the thing. We don't know what happened before that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He murdered that man. And his partner, his bitch ass partner, stood by as the execution occurred. They executed him. They executed that man. You know, so they fired these cops. They fired 4 police officers. That's not enough for me. They need to be arrested and charged with first-degree murder. First-degree murder. And they need to get the death penalty. You know what I mean? But, yeah. And I'm going to tell you guys, man, I'm surprised. The Officer Tatum, the Brandon Tatum, I'm surprised by his take on all this. He actually believes that the cop did the wrong thing and that he should go down for murder and be executed. And hey, you know, when you're right, you're right. And when Brandon Tatum is right, I can go ahead and say that. He was right on this one. You know, all the other stuff surrounding it, what he said, you know, oh, don't compare this, that, like, all that shit's irrelevant. We need to stick to the topic at hand. Unless we go to a subject that is relatable to this, an example that relates to the situation at hand. You know, he was saying that people are comparing it to Eric Garner, and you know, Eric Garner, that was about 40-second chokehold, and you know, it really doesn't matter how long the chokehold lasts if it kills the person. All right, Eric Garner was wrong too. The murder of Eric Garner was wrong. Eric Garner did not deserve to be thrown to the ground and choked out like that, or be harassed over selling loose cigarettes. See what I'm saying? Like, selling loose cigarettes, that's definitely not a crime. No victim, no crime. He's selling cigarettes to people that want cigarettes. You're providing a service, you're providing a product that people want. It's a voluntary transaction. Eric Garner should not have died for that. You're right. It shouldn't be compared. Shouldn't be compared at all. It just took a lot longer for George Floyd to die. You know what I mean? They were both murders. Anyway, so anybody telling y'all, if you hear people say, "Oh, I need some context. I need more context beyond this. Oh yeah, I need to see some video footage and see if he really resisted arrest." Anybody that tell you that, look, man, they just looking for an excuse for the cops to be justified. All right, that's it. And that person, they're really dishonest, man. If they tell you that they're a really dishonest person, and that shows you how they really feel about police-citizen relations, the authoritarian mind state, the statism. There's no justification. 8 long minutes. Can you imagine having your neck pressed down into the ground by somebody's knee, a grown-ass man's knee, for 8 minutes, and you're handcuffed, and you're not moving, and you're not resisting, and this person just keeps his fucking knee on your neck? Yo, like, come on, man. Imagine if that was your brother. Imagine if that was your father. Imagine if that was somebody you cared about. It's absolutely ridiculous. So, you know, and that's why I say screw cops. That's it. Straight up and down, man. I have no respect for police officers. Because I'm going to tell you something. The good police officers, let's say there was a, let's say that pig's partner was a good cop. If that pig's partner was a good cop, then George Floyd would not have died. George Floyd would not have died if there was a good cop anywhere in that presence. And if that good cop was forced to physically remove that bitch ass pig from George Floyd's neck, then that officer probably would have been fired. He probably would, because that happens all the time. If a police officer interferes with a punk ass pig abusing somebody, then they get in trouble. That's what happens to good police officers. Good police officers do not last in the police department. Good police officers are former police officers. Good police officers are dead police officers. 9 times out of 10 from what I've seen. You know, y'all might think differently, and that's fine. We can all think different things. We can all have diverging viewpoints. But show me a good cop that is still in the force. Yeah, and I'm gonna tell y'all the difference. I'm gonna tell y'all what a good cop is. A good cop, I don't even think one can really exist, man. I don't think one can really exist, because the things that you're tasked to do during your daily routine, like pulling people over for going 10 minutes over the speed limit, 10 miles over the speed limit, or doing a California road through a stop sign, or, you know, whatever you can do to extort the person. To me, that's just when they have committed no real crime, where they have left no victim, which is 90% of what cops do. I don't think morally you can be a good cop. I just don't, not in that way. Now, certain cops have discretion on whether or not, allegedly, whether or not they want to pull somebody over for this, that, and the third. But man, I just don't see. I don't see it. I don't see good cops existing in the current system of policing. I don't. You know. But I'm gonna tell y'all, the opposite of good is not bad, or not good. The opposite of love is not hate. It's indifference, right? It's indifference. So, to me, there are no police departments with good officers. They have Good cops are indifferent cops. Indifferent cops may not necessarily commit the bad acts, but they do nothing when their fellow police officers commit those wrong acts. When their partners and their fellow police officers do bad shit, they don't intervene. They just turn the cheek and they close their eyes to it. You know, they turn a blind eye to the corruption. They don't necessarily participate in it, but they're not gonna step on any toes. Those are indifferent cops. Just because they're not doing bad shit don't mean they're doing good shit. So to me, that's the difference. This is why we don't need police. Listen, man, we don't need the police, man. We need to police our own neighborhoods. We need to police our own communities. We need to police our own people. Or we need to be in more control of who polices us, who polices our neighborhoods. Like I said, private police forces, private security forces, things like that. Because this right here, man, this pisses me off, man. If you weren't highly pissed watching that video, I don't know what to tell y'all, man. This shit is just ridiculous. There needs to be a change in how they police in this country. Absolutely. Because I'm gonna tell you something. Shit like this continue, especially with the right infringements going on with the COVID-19 restrictions and all that shit. Now let me tell y'all, the rights infringements have always been there. Now it's just a lot more blatant, okay, because of COVID-19, because of these executive orders. If this continues, man, there's gonna be some issues, man. It's not gonna be a great day. There's gonna be some problems. The people are getting fed up, as they should. So anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Was that pig justified in doing what he did to George Floyd? If you think it was, then let me know why in the comment section. Share this video, like, subscribe, whatever, or don't. It is what it is. Anyway, much love to you guys. Peace out.